A key factor in choosing the appropriate statistical analysis for data in a study is whether that data is dependent or independent. Dependent samples means you're comparing data collected from the same people. And independent samples means you're collecting data from different groups of people. And there's lots of ways of saying dependent data, or lots of ways for an author to clue you in that they're using dependent data. They might say with a within subjects design, pre-test, post-test, repeated measures, crossover. All of these are giving you a clue that their data came from the same people that they're making comparisons about. If they have independent samples, so they're collecting data from two different groups and they're making comparisons between these different groups of people, they may say independent data or independent samples, or they may say a between subjects design. So you might see something like this in your paper. Data was analyzed using a dependent samples, something, t-test, ANOVA, whatever it is. They're saying the data was collected from a single group of subjects. They're also letting you know, because they used dependent samples, they needed a smaller sample. So their sample size can be smaller because they're making comparisons within a single group of subjects. If they say their data was analyzed using independent samples, something, then they collected data from two or more different groups, and they're going to need more people because they're going to have to accommodate the fact that the data came from different groups of people. So here's a common way that a study might be organized in the OT literature. So they have two groups, the control group and the intervention group, and they measure them twice, before the intervention and after the intervention. So they've got these four measurements: the control group before and after, the intervention group before and after. So all of this pre-test to post-test, that's dependent data. So within the control group, within the intervention group, making comparisons between the control and intervention group, that's using independent samples. And these are the kinds of questions they're most likely to want to answer. So they may want to know, was there a change in the intervention group based on the intervention? So was there a change from post-test to pre-test? That's using dependent samples. They're also likely to want to know things like, were these groups equal before the intervention? That idea of baseline equality. So they'll be comparing the control and intervention group before the interventions at baseline. That's an independent samples comparison. They might also want to know, did the intervention make a difference? They may want to know, just in general, did the intervention group wind up in a different place than the control group? Or they may ask, well, did the change in the intervention group differ from what the change in the control group? So subtracting where they started from where they ended and then making that comparison. Those are all independent samples comparisons.